Hey, how's everybody doing? I just wanted to go over today's charts with everybody here. So what I've got going on, USD JPY, I usually start, as you'll notice, on the same pair and just kind of work my way down the list. I'm gonna run through this one fast though. So I've got a daily price prediction of a downward move on this. Um, it's an interesting level. Seeing that we've been on this like recent uptrend. This is a weekly chart, by the way. So we've been going up since, let's say, late May of this year. So for a while now. And I do believe that it's about time for us to correct course. Either that or we're going to see a breakthrough of this level and try to react based on that. So when I go to the daily, you kind of get a better look as to maybe why I think that breakdown could happen. The last time we had a pretty strong move downward, it was due to this range of level. So there's a way to draw that. Let me see if I can do that real quick. It's actually going to be this guy right here. If I do this and say around this range, right? And in between there, you see reactions happening right in this range. And it's so crazy once you get good at drawing these levels, you can draw them for the current period and then kind of look back and see, man, they really do line up like this, lined up perfectly. That was a big move downwards, big moves, big moves. Um, and so I think price is going to react at this level because it has right here, or it did right there. And that was back in October. And then it did recently, earlier this month. Earlier in November. I'm sorry. Um, you saw that big drop down that we talked about with the head and shoulder pattern. If you don't remember, you'll have to look back at previous. But this right here, this big setup, it broke the neckline right around here. You see that move, and then a pullback to take that low. Would have been like a realistic entry for the strategy that I trade. So 5.24 type of move, and that happened in the span of, let me see if I can check it, the 15th through the 16th. Yeah, so the 16th, and then into the 19th. So we're looking at like to the 20th here is where we got even with this level, this 5 point, or the bottom level that we predicted. So if we got max profit out of the trade, it's 5.24. It's probably more realistically something like this, like 4.76. And that might have gotten us out. Earliest would have been here, so the 19th. So from the 15th to the 19th, I believe there's a weekend in between there. Yeah, there was. So the 16th was a Friday. That's why it goes from Friday to 18th, or 16th to 18th. Anyways, it's not a lot of days. It's 1, 2, 3 trading days, let's say. It's really 2.5 because Sunday's a half day or whatever. Anyways, that's how we want to look at this. Let me back out. Go back to what I was trying to show here. So USD JPY, we're coming up at a range where it's reacted strongly in the past. If it does react, I'd probably take it either down to the 50 and watch it, or down to this trend line. Probably the 50, because usually you want to be safe rather than sorry. So if it gets to the 50 and then blows past it, maybe I take a profit after that when it hits the long term, but at least have an alert to where when it hits the 50, I'm notified. And again, the 50 is constantly moving, obviously, based on the previous day or whatever, and the aggregate data. But what you can do is just keep a close eye on this and make it in the range. So maybe it'd be something like this. Boom, I put alert plus sign. And this is a free chart, so you have access to this feature. Drop right in, pay attention, reacts off of there, or it looks like it might react off of there. Depending on how the candle's forming up, I get out at that point. Pretty straightforward. Okay, so let's look at intraday charts. So I'd mentioned that I use a 4 hour and a 1 hour. So I use daily, weekly, sometimes monthly, most of the time daily, weekly for my long term, and then 4 hour and a 1 hour for the intraday levels. If I'm looking at this, I'm still paying attention to MACD, always trying to see if there's going to be some divergence there. Paying attention to previous levels, trying to look at the pivot levels, all that good stuff. And right now it looks like it's either going to consolidate. Doesn't have any real big signs that a drop off is near. It's being kind of supported and held up by this 50 EMA at the time. So yeah, it might drop, but it doesn't look like it's going to drop strong, or down to this level that I previously stated. And the thing about the 4 hour chart, I'll be honest with you, it's kind of it's a tricky one for me personally. I'm still kind of learning how to use it, and I'll be developing live and showing you guys kind of what I'm learning and why I'm doing the things I'm doing on that. But when I go to the 1 hour chart, I can kind of see some sideways movement, a bounce into this territory, and then it pulled back. Nothing, no kind of signs that say, hey, this is going to be a big movement happening in this area. So I'll be looking for something that in the next 1 or 2 days to kind of show me if it's going to drop down here. But in the meantime, long term, it doesn't look like, it looks like something might happen at this level, or something, and I'm looking for volatility, man. That's what I'm always kind of most interested in, is volatility. So I'm going to be looking for something to happen here, either a breakthrough or to continue upwards and beyond this key area that's been touched and reacted upon several times. You even see it here. This is a meteoric rise, and then it kind of consolidated and bounced back higher, and then consolidated again, and then dropped back into range, beyond range actually. And you see how it reacted at this level. So I love it whenever I find levels on the charts that have lots of reaction, lots of action in general. So yeah, this is a good one. This is a good one. Okay, let's get going. Let's see, USD CHF. Don't really see anything on this one. It's kind of held up at this level, supported. I really don't like this pair. I really don't. Mostly because on the intraday it looks really sloppy, and that's just like personal preference. But yeah, obviously you can still trade it. It's at a pretty, like, all this stuff is intersecting. You got a pivot line, you got a 200 EMA, 50 EMA, all kind of intersecting right there. I used to trade as well with a 20 EMA. I'm going to slowly try to get that back in, see if that's going to matter. But anyways, yeah, same thing happening on the 1 hour chart as on the 4 hour chart. It's all converging at this level. All the indicators are kind of supporting, hanging out right here. Price action actually dipped a little bit below that though, so we'll see what happens. I'll pay attention to it. Nothing right now though. I thought this was super interesting. So, and I drew the Fibonacci on this earlier today. based on the beginning, what I perceive to be, kind of, sort of the beginning of the move and the end of it here. So this is kind of tricky. I'm not going to lie. Fibonacci is something that it took me a while to start drawing it to where I could actually use it. So what I like to do is take the bottom here, and actually I got it wrong again. You draw it from where we feel like it stopped to where it began. And I like to go off here to the side so that I can see more of it. And I felt like it began right here. So since we're on a video, let me help you out with arrows. And you want to be pulling up your own charts and kind of copying this. So pause the video, go and copy this on your charts, and then come back. And at least that's what works for me. That's how I learned. The easiest was really applying these ideas and seeing if it made sense for me. So drawing the fib between those two. So these two gray lines are like the standard lines. Everything else is drawn in. So 618 is this teal color. 50% retracement is here. 3.8 is here. I can actually show you the levels. Let's see if it shows here. Okay. So one of the things I learned a while back when kind of digging around with Fibonacci is they have an extended Fibonacci, and that means even beyond the levels that are traditionally drawn, if it goes past that, if it extends past that, there's more levels to be had, obviously, but the standard just doesn't come with it. So this is extended, showing where they think price could go further and where it could react further, based on if you're drawing it in a way where the lines are actually lining up and it's naturally reacting. So Fibonacci, the whole thing about it is price pattern, or not price pattern, I'm sorry, natural patterns that happen in nature and mathematically, right? So it was really, there's a whole study where they talk about how it was formed off of like a vortex circle type of formation. I don't want to get too deep into that, and obviously I understand how to use it, but I don't understand the origins as much as I probably need to. But if you want to get into like some real deep math, understanding of math, like on a PhD type of level, you can look into Fibonacci and really sink your teeth in if you want to. I use it strictly for trading. So for those reasons, this is how I was taught. This is what I've learned that actually works. So it actually bounced off of this 272 level. I really like these extended levels. They kind of guide me and show me that I'm lined up correctly. And so we saw this reaction, and then we saw some stagnation. But what I did not expect and wasn't quite anticipating was the drop through this level. This USD CAD was overextended clearly, and there was a huge move. This is a daily chart, so that's a big candle and a big move on the intradays. I did circle these last night when I was looking at this, specifically on the 1 hour chart, how there was on Sunday this movement downwards. So this happened here at 4 o'clock on Sunday. Okay. 4 o'clock Central Time. I'm just looking right here at the date bar here. So anyways, you saw it drop down. Not a real sign. Usually I've got 50 MA, I got a pivot line here. I've got a semi-important level, I believe. This orange line. Let's look at it here on the daily and see if we can see it. This level. A little bit of price action in the past around that area. You see how it's kind of prices gathering there, touching there, bouncing there. I look for all those things. Is it touching a lot there? All that. So anyways, decent level on a daily, not necessarily on the 1 hour here. It doesn't look like. But yeah, it was here and it just dropped off the face of the earth. No real setup that told me that was going to happen. No divergence in the MACD. So we're looking down here and then comparing it to the price action up here. It's actually correlated with MACD. So there's, you know, it's actually matched up there and dropped off here. So let's see here. Let me go to a daily chart. Such a big move, such an interesting thing. And that's not the only one. We had spoken about this last week, and there was a huge breakthrough here. And let's go back. So this happened yesterday, this move upwards. And if you remember, I had talked about a flag pattern and that I don't trade this, but I do watch it and I will be paying attention. But I think there's going to be a breakthrough, maybe a break to the upside. And that's exactly what ended up happening here. Pretty significant jump. And so if you go through all the rest of the NZD USD pairs, or I'm sorry, NZD pairs, you're going to see that overextended look. This is JPY, this is CHF, way up here, CAD, way up here, in a zone. Look at all that price action right here before this series of big drops. So maybe we're coming back. And so even further than that, we're looking at a Fibonacci that started way back here. There was a big move way back here. And a drop down, a pullback beyond 618 into 50. And then another drop and even touched 3.8, looks like. And then another drop all the way down to the extended levels, beyond the extended levels. And then a short pullback up. So we can even see kind of like a inverted head and shoulder type pattern. To push it back up into the regular range or somewhat regular range. So now we're pulled back. We touched the 618, pulled back quickly, went to a 50. And maybe I could have saw that coming. Maybe I should have saw that coming, but I didn't. So we're looking at it now. So we're paying attention there. Let me see here. GBP USD. I did not notice anything on these charts, anything significant that we could actually trade. So I'll kind of go right through those. And sometimes it is that way, you know, sometimes there's not a trade to be had on a certain pair, on a group of pairs. And when that happens, I never try to force it. But one thing I do, and I will say, is so it's good and it's bad. It's bad when it comes to being efficient and being able to run through your charts quickly. But sometimes, like I'm back to the GBP pairs, if I don't see anything on the higher time frames, I just kind of get a quick glance of the lower time frames to try to see if there's any kind of trend that's forming or an idea that could work soon. And there's nothing here. There's just nothing. And that's fine. So just so you guys know, daily is my go-to. Then I go to weekly, monthly, and kind of dig further if I feel like there might be something there. That's my strategy currently. I do think I'm going to be tweaking that and changing that soon, just to get a really, really close and deep feel for what groups of pairs might be doing and what formations might be setting up. And then drilling down a little bit further. That's going to be a little bit more work, but you guys are here on this channel to watch me develop as a trader and also help you develop as a trader. And what that really means is experimenting. You're going to have to find different things that work, different ideas, proof of those ideas, and we'll go through that entire process very, very soon. With the coming videos, they're going to get a little bit more in depth. So Chf Jpy. Don't really see anything. here at all. Big jump up in the short term, the long term. Nothing that excites me really. And you're going to notice some of my fibs are going to be a little bit different than others or whatever. I didn't do that on purpose, but here we go. Try to make it all cohesive or whatever. So let's see here. CAD, CHF. Interesting. So remember that flag? This is kind of like almost an inverted version of that, but a lot less of a flag and a whole lot more consolidation. But what's crazy about this is a monthly chart. So we're looking at January 15th is when this big move happened. Or I'm sorry, January of 2015. So the 1st of January 2015. And it's been kind of sideways like this. Reacting to the 50 EMA though, since then. So 3 years, it's been kind of in this sideways pattern. So you zoom out and you can kind of see, you know what I'm saying? This is the weekly, so I'm actually a little bit too far. We're looking at this now. Yeah, right here. So this is what it really looks like in real time from a weekly perspective. So we're super sideways. And then daily, there's some trades in the daily, but you had to drill all the way down to that. So let's go find January 15th. It's this one. You see how it drills out. You see how it kind of tells a story and then, you know, gets a little bit more specific. We could trade something like this big drop down. Clearly, I saw this entire thing. Look at that beautiful pullback. It pulled back like perfectly here. From here to here. This right here. Boom. So, fib, hit draw, touch this level, pull back, and then to 3.82, and then drop like crazy into the extended levels, pull back again, drop like crazy to the extended levels, pull back a little bit beyond extended levels, came back pretty hard, consolidated, and shot back right through these levels. It hesitated at each one of those levels for a couple days. You see that? 2 red, then green, then kind of hesitated, then went up, and then hesitated for about a week, and then headed back up to the previous level. So I like seeing this. It's like a big V shape where the Fibonacci originally started. And one of the things I just learned to do in this situation is you can kind of go back. Let me see. You can use this tool to go back in time and kind of see it play out, which is really interesting. Every 1 second. So if I play this, you're going to watch it. And this is a free feature. Watch it all transpire. This is what your charts would have looked like. You know? Now the catch is, can you see the pattern forming before it actually happens? That's how you trade. That's how you actually trade. Look at this crazy bar. Hold on. I don't know if I can back it up here. Anyways, this bar right here is a story. That should tell you something. Long leg. Like a hammer just hanging there, and you're going to see it drop down crazy. And then we see this big engulfing bullish candle right before this pullback. Well, right as this pullback develops, right? Just super interesting stuff for me. Look at these two. Signs of a reversal. Look at this bearish engulfing. Signs of a reversal. We take this down. All the way down. That's a huge move. If I wanted to measure that move to just the first one that I recognize from here to there, it took a 2%. More than that, because I'd probably be something like this. 3.67% on one move. Make a living like that. And we saw it chill out at these extended levels, then really bounce through. It just took out this 50 EMA, which is a big deal. And then it came back and tested it, obviously. Stayed at it for a little while, then bounced back off of it. Excuse me. So yeah, use those tools. These tools are amazing for free as well, and kind of show you some really interesting stuff when it comes to what price action does and how you might be able to kind of, I don't like to say predict it, but you can definitely set yourself up for good trades, for high probability trades in a way. Because yeah, I can say that I think it's going to go down, but there's going to be like some ups and downs here, so it's going to be kind of sideways for me and most people. So you see this is crazy. Let's see how it came all the way back to this level, and now it's just above there. It's respecting this 50 EMA right in here. It's just good stuff, man. All right, I'll go ahead and I really just wanted to focus on that other one. But anyways, yeah, that's about it for today. I think that's plenty to kind of consider, think about. This crazy move. And I feel like yeah. Let's see if we have anything else here. Let me make sure. Oh, AUD. So I did highlight this right here because we're coming up on a 200 EMA and a important level. You see all this consolidation and price action. I think that we're going to bounce off of that level eventually. But this right here, this little like cup coming back up and going, into a new trend is kind of concerning, interesting to think about. So even if I did take this down, it would just be a quick move. It wouldn't be like hey, I think I'm going to ride this way down far. It would just be probably a 2-to-1 type of trade, just a real quick power move. And that's one of the strategies that you'll learn from IP. Again, I'm always using that lingo because that's where I really won. So that's where I really leveled up. And let me see here. AUD Jpy. All right. Yeah, that's it. That's the ones. But yeah, thanks for watching. I'll be right back with some more content in depth. Peace.